The beginning of this new year shocked all of those throughout the world who cherish the hope that respect for international law and non-intervention in domestic affairs of other states, as well as the reliance upon diplomacy and seeking of compromise, became key principles in the work of the new U.S. administration. The assault against the leader of Venezuela, compounded by the deaths of dozens of Venezuelan and Cuban citizens, in the eyes of many, has become a harbinger of a turn back to the era of lawlessness and U.S. domination by force, chaos, and lawlessness, which continues to afflict dozens of states in various regions of the world.
Shalom. Call Loin Blah, Yahab Hashem, Yahushai. Call Loin Blah, Yahab Hashem, Yahushai. All praise Mashiach Yahushai. Call Loin Blah, Yahab Hashem, Yahushai. Shouts out Israelite foreigners, specular birds, you strangers that look like a Mr. Paleface, that look like a Edomite, that look like a red Hebrew Edomite. Peace, love to you, peace, love to you. Israelite foreigners. Specular birds, you strangers that look like a Mr. Paleface, that look like an Edomite, that look like a red Hebrew Edomite. Peace, love to you, peace, love to you. Call Elohim La, Yahab Hashem, Yahushai. All praise Mashiach Yahushai. Call Elohim La, Yahab Hashem, Yahushai. Shalom, 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 shalom to 144,000, the elect, the women and men, children. It's going to make it to the kingdom. The honors, apostles, and elders, and watchmen, servants, and prophets, a great millstone. You learned the truth from only through the spirit and power of Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahushai. Call Elohim La, Yahweh, Hashem, Yahushai. Call Elohim La, Yahweh, Hashem, Yahushai. All praise Mashiach Yahushai. And Lord willing, you brothers and sisters are edified, you see, and everything that's transpiring with U.S. invading Venezuela to take that oil and that land. Ooh, this is what Esau Edom do. You understand? You see, he's a proud man. This is Psalms 12 and verse 3. Psalms chapter 12. You see, Psalms chapter 12 and verse 3. The Lord Yahweh shall cut off all flattering lips, you see, and the tongue that speak of proud things. See, you got the Russian Federation. They looking at this motherfucker, you see, and they all Edomites, right? Exactly. See, you see. Devils. Red dragon demon devils, man. You understand? You see, but you got certain brothers we gotta get looked down on because we not of the world, in the world, loving the world. You see, we got our sights on something different. You see, this place gonna fade away, man. You and your devil daddy, you filthy, nasty ass motherfuckers. You see, why you think they went and invade Venezuela? You see, because this place about to collapse, motherfucker. He doing the job of the super elites. You see, I say it again. He's doing the job of the super elites. You see? Yeah, Nero. His wicked ass. He is Nero. Reincarnation. You see? This is Rome 2.0. He is Nero. You see? He's doing the job of the super elites. See? And the Russian Federation, these other nations are very upset. You see? You know what I mean? Psalms chapter 12 and verse 3, the Lord Yahweh shall cut off all flattering lips. You see, and the tongue that speak of proud things. You know, you dig? You know what I mean? You see, who have said, with our tongue we will prevail. Ooh, who that sound like? You see? Crackers, Peckerwoods, honkies, so-called white people, wicked ass motherfuckers. You see? You know what I mean? Our lips are our own. You see? Who is the Lord Yahweh Hashem Yahushai over us? Question mark. What the fuck? See? So he's so proud. They believe what they say is the right way, the only way. Let's read again. You see? You know what I mean? Our lips are our own. You see? Who is Lord Yahweh Hashem Yahushai over us? You see? Question mark. What the fuck? So they don't believe in no power that's controlling them or above them. You see? Yo, devil daddy, Esau Edom, Mr. White Man, Donald Trump, your slave master. You see?
There is no and can be no justification for the crimes cynically perpetrated by the United States in Caracas. We firmly condemn the U.S. act of armed aggression against Venezuela in breach of all international legal norms. In connection with the confirmed reports about the presence of the abducted president of Venezuela, Nicolas Maduro, and his spouse in the United States, today, as we are aware, they are in New York, we call upon, corrects the speaker, the U.S. leadership to immediately release the legitimately elected president of an independent state and his spouse. Any problems existing or conflict between the United States and Venezuela need to be resolved through dialogue. And this is precisely what is enshrined in the UN Charter, for purposes and the principles of which a number of states in recent years have begun to apply selectively, depending upon the political landscape. Today, we are reaping the consequences of their recklessness and selectivity in matters related to respect for the norms of international law, which were linked to the so-called rules-based world order. Here is your rules-based world order in all of its glory, which is horrifying even the staunchest Atlanticists. Mr. President, we extend our firm solidarity with the people of Venezuela in the face of the external aggression. We firmly support and completely support the policy of the Bolivarian government, which is geared towards protection of their national interests and the sovereignty of the country. Washington's aggressive acts have already been condemned by many states and multilateral associations, including the Non-Aligned Movement, the African Union, as well as the Group of Friends in Defense of the Charter of the United Nations. We hope that the international banditry will immediately be met with objective and comprehensive assessment at the international legal level with...
Look at that lady in the back. You see? Even though that bitch don't mean nothing. Believe that. You see? But the point I'm trying to make, look at that bitch in the back. You see, she know like, ooh wee. That shit was shady and scurvy. You see? Something about the spiral out of control. You see? Yeah, something about the spiral out of control, man. You understand? You see? Because this fucking demon devil, Mr. White Man, your devil daddy, your slave master, your oppressor. You see? You dig? You know what I mean? Yes. Something about the spiral out of control. I don't know what it is. But we watching. You see? Look at that lady face with the glasses, bro. That's the key. You see? Pay attention. You dig? You know what I mean? You see?
The United Nations, universal mechanisms, and other multilateral formats being brought to bear. This process must not be impacted by the recognition or non-recognition by any given states or groups of states of the legitimacy of Nicolas Maduro. For this reason, unintelligible murmurings and attempts to avoid principled assessments by those who, in other circumstances, froth at the mouth and demand that others respect the UN Charter, today seem particularly hypocritical and unseemly. We hope you will recognize this, and we hope that you will abandon double standards and that you will not attempt to justify such an egregious act of aggression due to a fear of angering the American global gendarme, which is attempting to once again rear its head. We are particularly appalled by the unparalleled cynicism with which Washington did not even attempt to conceal the true aims of its criminal operation, namely the establishment of unbridled control over Venezuela's natural resources and the assertion of their hegemonical ambitions in Latin America. In this way, Washington is generating fresh momentum for neocolonialism and for imperialism, which were repeatedly, decisively condemned and repudiated by the peoples of this region and by the global South as a whole. Distinguished colleagues, under these circumstances, it is exceedingly important for the entire international community to unite and to definitively reject the methods and tools of U.S. military foreign policy, which have been demonstrated in the case of Venezuela. This is the only way it is possible to compel Washington to revisit and to abandon their dangerous misconceptions. As we stated during previous meetings on Venezuela, the bell now tolls across the region, ringing for every country of the Western Hemisphere. The bell is ringing for all UN member states and for the future of the organization itself. Failing to hear this call today is tantamount to projecting cowardice and the lack of principle, essentially blessing ongoing encroachments of international law and rejecting civilized international conduct as a whole. We cannot allow the United States to proclaim itself as some kind of a supreme judge, which alone bears the right to invade any country, to label culprits, to hand down and to enforce punishments, irrespective of notions of international law, sovereignty, and non-intervention.
You heard that? Did you see that? Believe that? You see, he said we cannot allow United States, man. Just think they some type of supreme judge. He's the hammer of the earth. You see? So that means these nations gonna get fed the fuck up at a moment's notice, man. They gonna fuck this evil ass motherfucker up. You see? Hell yeah, man. His own people don't even see eye to eye with one another. How powerful is that? Did you see that? Believe that? You see? See? So basically what they saying, they said the South. The South is talking about the tribes, bro. That's not talking about South Africa. You see? Them African booty scratchers. No, the South is talking about the tribes, man. South America. Didn't they say that? You see? You know what I mean? This is powerful, man. This is very spiritual. Pertain to what? Prophecy. You see? Psalms chapter 13. Psalms chapter 13. Psalms chapter 13 and verse. Psalms 13. Psalms chapter 13. You see? Psalms 13 and verse. Just hold on, man. You see, Psalms 13 and verse 3. Psalms chapter 13 and verse 3. Consider and hear me. See? You see? That's the key. Dick sucking ass niggas don't give a fuck about the Heavenly Father, man. These evil ass, treacherous, wicked, sick made times we living in. You understand? You see, you jokers, you motherfuckers, you jokers, you look down on his men. We ain't nothing but bums. You see? You dig? You know what I mean? Bum ass niggas that sit on dirty couches, raping bitches. Wow. Bearing false witness. You see? You know, Psalms 13 and verse 3. Psalms chapter 13 and verse 3. Consider and hear me. You see, O Lord Yahweh, my power, lighten my eyes, lest I sleep the sleep of death. Ooh. And that's what's coming. There's nothing left. You see, nothing but death. For you dusty, crusty ass 2/3, man. You and your devil daddy. These vipers, these cobras, these pythons, these fucking crackers, man. These fucking honkies, these peckerwoods. You see, these fucking heathen devils, man. These fucking brute beasts. You see, yes, man. We prophesying, man, the downfall of Babylon the Great. We want to see death and terror and destruction upon this filthy, nasty, disgusting ass place. You see, this place was built off slavery, man. And they laughing at us. And they happy. You see, because they so proud, full of pride. They believe that this place is going to go on and on, forever, forever. Just like King David stated in the book of Psalms chapter 49. You see? You know what I mean? Psalms chapter 13. This book of Psalms chapter 13 and verse 3. Consider and hear me. You see, O Lord Yahweh, my power, lighten my eyes. You see, lest I sleep the sleep of death. You see, lest my enemy say, who the fuck is the enemy? Mr. Paleface. You see, and his bed wench, the so-called black woman. That bitch is the adversary. Bitch, you gonna catch it. Believe that shit. You see, you know what I mean? Lest my enemy say, you see, I have prevailed against him. Exactly. You see, you know, and those that trouble me rejoice when I am moved. Exactly, man. We at the bottom. You see? But we got to be patient and we got to have faith, brothers, every single day. You see? You know what I mean? But I have trust in thy mercy. That's the key. That's the point. You see? That's the point. That's the key. You see? But I have trust in thy mercy. You see? My heart shall rejoice in thy salvation. Ooh. We want to be delivered, man. You see? So ain't no taking no motherfucking breaks when it comes to the men of the faith. You see?
Prevention. Is this the world we sought to attain as we marked the 80th anniversary of the adoption of the Charter of the United Nations, when we all signed on to the irrelevant Security Council presidential statement? Is this the aim of United Nations reform, which we all advocate? Or has the United Nations and Security Council thereof, do they no longer exist? And is there need now to seek from Washington a patent rule, so to speak? And is it a self-determination of every person's and their right to determine their future worthless? These are the questions that we all must address today. And if this response is sincere, if it is principled, then perhaps the U.S. leadership too, which openly is asserting intention to run another country for the benefit of the United States, they will perhaps glance at their own constitution, their constitution of the United States, which begins with the words, "We the people of the United States," and will begin, in fact, to recognize the sovereignty of other states rather than deposing inconvenient regimes. Thank you.
Michigan homeowners, if your house was built before 2019, I want to buy your house right now, as is, no matter what condition it's in. And not only do I want to buy your house, but I want to give you
smart enough, you will know who I am. But you are really not smart enough to know who I am. But soon you're gonna know who I am. Very easy. The entitlement. No, believe me, I'm much better than that. The entitlement, guys. Wow. So they're gonna take a small town, or what do you think that's all about?
So what we've seen, at least with the plotting, I'd say there's three pieces. One's a large aviation plot again, and that they're just going to do suicide bombers on planes and drop them down, and that's for mass casualty. The goal is to kill 4,000 people. Then they want something, like you said, about almost a hostage and hold ground. That seems to be some sort of assault or attack on Washington, D.C., because they want to cripple the federal government's response. And then the last piece, they are going to go into our communities, unfortunately, like it was for October 7th. ISIS is leading that piece, and how they train is in 5 to 10 man kind of urban assault teams, and they're going to attack like churches, supermarkets, hospitals, and they're going to do multiple locations at a time, so that'll be very difficult for law enforcement. And they're also going to either target law enforcement or look like law enforcement to fool civilians, which they also did that during the October 7th attack. So if it doesn't get forwarded, or pieces of this doesn't get forwarded, this will obviously be probably the biggest attack ever on the U.S. since Pearl Harbor. So it's a very, very scary situation.
Here in the U.S., some love the holiday, others completely loathe it, but at least one element is always certain on New Year's Eve: safety concerns. Several major cities around the world not only ramping up their security protocols, but some are outright canceling events and celebrations. Take Tokyo, for example. I'll show you a live look right there, where the city's official street countdown has been called off now, leaders citing concerns surrounding crowds and rowdy behavior. Now to Paris, the city calling off its famous New Year's Eve live outdoor concert on the Champs-Elysees. Local leaders say the cancellation is due to unpredictable crowds. Here in the U.S., the FBI just announcing earlier this week it busted a New Year's Eve bomb plot in Los Angeles, arresting 4 members of this far-left anti-government group.
Now, when you talk about these groups, so you know how we say Hamas did October 7th? Well, now I told you all these different groups in this council are supporting this attack. So you're not going to have a cell of 5 Hamas members. That 5-person cell, let's say, which is they're really focused on veteran communities. Let's say they do Tampa, a big veteran community. So the 5-person cell will have maybe a Hamas member, an HTS member, an ISIS member, an Al-Qaeda member, and like a Taliban member. So that's what they want to do different here, because our government can't go after these cells when they're multiple groups. We're not even designed to confront terrorists that way.
That's crazy. I hope that it doesn't happen. I mean, people, some of these veteran communities are stacked to the gill with guns, so hopefully they can.
I'm a single mom of a 4-year-old. I'm working a full-time job. Rasmussen